Today, I'm going to walk you guys through how I went from drinking, skinny, depressed, anxious, mowing grass all day long, wearing every single hat in the business, to where I'm at today. I literally just bought my dream car, not my dream car, but I got a super cool Jeep, one that I've been looking at for a while. I'm building 100, $200,000 projects, traveling the world. This was me in Egypt. This is me and my brother in Dubai. It's been a crazy journey, and I want to walk you guys through it, how I went from lawn care to building construction projects. Let's jump right into it. So, the first thing that I did is I sold my lawn care business. Why did I sell the business? Because I knew that I could always build it back. Once you do something, it's so much easier to do it again because you already have all the confidence, you already have all the skills, the talent, and the knowledge. And so I knew that I'd be able to build it back again. And I wanted to spend 100% of my time focusing on these construction projects. I knew that if I kept the mowing, I'd still want to try and build it. And so I sold it, and I took all that capital and invested it into myself, into mentors, into traveling, into my network. And how did I sell my lawn care business? The way that I structured it was 8 mows per client. So I think it came out to almost a $30,000 sale. And then I had all my mowers and my trailers and all of that stuff as well. So it was very good for me at the time. And how I found the buyer was I saw a guy mowing in my mom's neighborhood. I literally just went right up to him and was like, "Hey, I have one of the best mowing routes in Wichita. Would you be interested in buying it?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I met him at a coffee shop, and then I closed the deal. So I sold the mowing business, and then what I did is I restructured all my marketing. So I paid a graphic designer to redo my logo. It was a lawn care logo. So I changed it. I wanted something that was modern and sleek, and I wanted something that was going to attract my clientele. So I paid a graphic designer $300 to redo my logo, and then I built out some flyers and sent it everywhere. I utilized Nextdoor. But I just completely changed everything. I changed my Instagram. I changed everything from lawn care to construction projects. So I changed my Google My Business. I was using photos that weren't mine. It wasn't like I was lying and saying, "Hey, this is my patio." I was just showing what my company could build by using other people's photos. And so a lot of people, I think that gets a lot of people stuck is, "Oh, I don't have photos." Well, use somebody else's. You don't have to say it's yours. You can be honest if somebody asks you, but just show what your company can build. And so I was using other people's stuff, and that's how I started my mowing business too. Whenever you start something, obviously you don't have photos to show, so just use somebody else's, and then make sure to give credit where credit's due. And then also, if somebody asks, you don't lie. You don't need to lie. Um, Other techniques that I did, with marketing. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I called and sent messages to tons of people, and I enrolled in a high-end gym membership, and this really helped me out. So this was, the first batch of restructuring my logo. None of these I really liked. I ended up picking this one, and these are these Canva PDFs that I was talking about. So I built this. Obviously, this isn't very good. I wouldn't have chose this font, this yellow. It's hard to read, but build something like this and then go send it to all of your customers. You can post it on Facebook. You can post it on Instagram. You can post it on Nextdoor. These are just so useful because you can also print these off and pass them out to people. Um, I also created this little spring cleanup special. I saw something from Grant Cardone where have different packages, and then psychologically it makes people want to go for the middle one. So literally, these are the same things, except this one just has mulch, and then this one includes a leaf cleanup as well. So this was actually pretty successful for me. I printed these all off and I passed them out, and we got quite a few calls on these spring cleanups. The key here is when you're transitioning from mowing to the construction projects, you don't go right away into $100,000 project. You warm up to it a little bit. So you start off with some cleanups, you're doing a little rock job, and then boom, you'll get your first 10 by 10 patio or 20 by 20 patio, and then you'll knock that one out, and then slowly you'll work your way up into the bigger stuff. But whenever you're first switching into these construction projects, start with some small stuff like that. You may not have to do these cleanups. That was just me. But start with smaller projects. And then this was another flyer that, we built out right here. Just went over our services, a little bit about our business. And this was the transition. I rebuilt my entire website. So this was it, and my lawn care website. And then I paid $6K and got it completely rebuilt. So that's the difference between the home screens. Obviously, completely different. Um, cool. And then, how did I get my first employee? I started by waiting at Quick Trips, Home Depots, job sites. And I remember one time I was on this job site, and I went up to this guy and I'm like, hey, I'm just looking for somebody that knows how to build patios. And he's like, yeah, I know how to, obviously they were building patios, so he knew how to do it. Come to find out, that was the owner of the company's son. So it was kind of awkward. I was like trying to poach the owner's son into my business. But I mean, that's just part of it. You have to sacrifice yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, um, any of your belief systems. You just have to go out there and take action and keep pushing into the world. So I found mine through Facebook. So I posted in a Facebook group letting everybody know that I needed somebody to join my team for landscape projects, somebody that had experience in paver patios and retaining walls and that kind of stuff. And a guy from Cuba called me, and I paid him 23 an hour, and then we started rolling. This was him right here. This was a restaurant. We were doing these flagstones on this concrete. I had no idea what I was doing, and I actually lost $8,000 on this project. But it turned out very good, and it helped me get projects down the road. So, everything happens for a reason. It was a big learning experience for me. It just took us so long to do this. Whenever you're doing flagstones, always charge double on labor than what you would for paver patios. Flagstones are just a pain to work with. The next thing that I did when I made this transition is I spent a lot of the money that I made from the mowing sale into myself, into personal development. As you can see, I went to all these different events. I hired a real estate mentor and then flipped a house. I hired a hardscape business owner that was doing what I wanted to do, and he walked me through that transition. And so in the entrepreneur world, we don't have a college that's like, hey, do this, that, this, and this. You're on your own unless you find mentors, unless you find people that have done what you want to do. You're on your own. And I realized this, and I traded money for these guys' time and their experiences and all the failures that they went through. And then boom, that's how I was able to move so fast, is because now I'm working with somebody that literally just did what I wanted to do. And then I also found a local construction mentor and a landscape designer that was able to help me out when I needed help with designs. And if I had any technical questions on patio builds and stuff like that, they were there to help me out. So this was me, Wes Watson's mastermind at his house. This was me in Brooklyn Bridge at the One Hotel. This is me. I got a Diamonds ticket to Growth Conference in Vegas. This was me in Scottsdale at a business boot camp. I also really recommend going to all of the hardscape training events that are in your local area, just so you can become more familiar with how these patios are built, how these retaining walls are built, and then you'll get contacts in your area of people that you can call on if you have questions that are willing to help you out. So I went to Keystone, which they're a paver company and a retaining wall company, and I also went to a Belgard event, and I took my employee to the Belgard event. And these were really good for me to just learn the construction side of these projects, because I was just a mower. I didn't know how to do any of these patios or anything of that nature. And I also watched a ton of YouTube videos. There's lots of, the Christian Hardscaper is a guy that I would watch, and there's other YouTube channels out there that go in depth about the construction of these that were super helpful for me. And so after you have a mentor, you got your first guy, you got to sell some projects. So in the beginning, I was obviously extremely nervous, and I wasn't sure if I was pricing things right, but that's normal. And you just have to keep pushing through all these mental barriers. you'll have all this discomfort, and you just have to keep pushing through to get from where you're at to where you want to go. You're just going to have to push through a lot of mental pain, and it's not physical, it's just mental. I utilize Nextdoor a lot, and I wanted to show you guys this. I wanted to show you guys my Nextdoor account, because this really. So, I'm making offers on Nextdoor. I'm shooting videos of my face because no other business owners are doing that. Here's another one that I did. This was right when I made the transition. You know, July 23rd, August 23rd, April 23rd. This was last year. Here's a rock project that I did. I post the videos. Here's another video, extremely cringy. 33 and 11 likes. Wow, tapped. See, these videos are nobody's doing these, and so they work really well. I had multiple people comment, "Caleb, your marketing is awesome. You have the best marketing." See, your marketing is beyond the best. People really admire when you can get out on camera and shoot videos like that. So I highly recommend, using Nextdoor and posting these videos, posting that Canva PDF, some of those examples that I showed you guys earlier, posting these on Facebook, sending them to past customers. And when you do sell these projects, aim for about 40% gross margins. What does that mean? It means when you're estimating the job, you'll have material expenses, and you'll have labor slash, in my case, subcontractor expenses. So let's just say my materials are $4,000. My subcontractor is $4,000. I have $8,000 in cost. What I will do to get 40% gross margins is I will divide that 8,000 by 0.60, and then that will give me 40%. So always figure out your cost and then multiply that times what margin you're wanting to make. Also, tone, body language, confidence is key. If somebody asks you a question that you don't know, never say you don't know. Always sidestep it with something intelligent, like, I'm going to get a walkthrough video, get measurements and a sketch, and I'm going to take all of this to my project manager and my crew lead, and we're going to put together an amazing proposal and estimate for you, and we'll get that back to you in the next 72 hours. Does that work good for you? If they ask you a question, sidestep it. You can always say that you're going to speak to your project manager or something like that. The key Next, the key to going from like the small cleanups to these 20K plus 100K projects is having a great design. Like landscape designs, if I have a good design from my designer, my close rate goes up by like 80%. So having these professional designs are insanely important. And then also having extreme confidence, bringing materials to the presentation so people can feel it. They want to see the materials, good communication with text, with meetings, with follow-ups. Everything needs to be dialed in. And yeah, building a Google Doc with all the plant photos, all the hardscape photos, just as much visual representation as possible. And then also walk them through everything on the project and make sure they have zero questions before you drop the price. Only drop the price after they love everything and they have no questions. If they don't like it, and they want to make some changes, and it wasn't really what they're anticipating, don't drop the price yet. Just go make the adjustments and then set another meeting or send it back over. And then something that I've been doing recently is, instead of saying, "Hey, let's set up another meeting," it kind of sounds a little bit salesy. So I've been saying, "Hey, yeah, next week I'll pop by." You make it seem a little bit more casual. Yeah, I'll pop by. Also on follow-up calls, I used to say, "Hey, just checking in. Did you guys?" Wrong. Whenever you say, "Hey, I'm following up," or "Hey, I'm just checking in," you trigger sales resistance. And so what you want to do is make it sound like you don't need their business. "Hey, thank you so much for your time," or "Hey, I sorry, scratch that." What you should say instead is, Hey, thank you so much for your patience with us. I just got some time. We've been super busy. What are your thoughts on that estimate my team sent over to you guys? That's much better and doesn't trigger sales resistance. So here's an example of a really good design that my team just put together for a project. This is about a $50,000 project, all new plant materials, a fire pit patio, and some flower beds all around. And then here's what those Google Docs look like that you guys should be taking. You guys should be taking these on all of your estimates. That way everybody can see what they're investing in. And then finally, I went from employees to the subcontractor model. And I did this about the same time last year. It was a little bit slow. I let all 4 of my employees go. And what I did is I switched to subcontracting. And then again, I started selling off my equipment. Why did I do it? I did it because on the first subcontractor project I ever did, I I closed this step. It was a step project with a patio landing. It was like a $12,000 project. I had $3,000 in materials, and my contractor was $3,000 to build it. And then I made 6 grand in 3 days, and I didn't touch it. I didn't use any of my equipment. I didn't even touch it. So I was like, whoa. So then I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And he did a fantastic job. He cleaned it up. He dumped everything. And before, I was running around doing all that stuff, getting the materials. This guy grabbed all the materials, did everything. And I saw the potential with it. And the very next project, I netted 18,000 on a project. And it took our team 4 days to build it. So after that, I was hooked and I started selling everything off. I love it because now my overhead's significantly lower. I could utilize this same model and go to Nashville. I could go to Dallas. I could go anywhere in the US and do the same thing. And I'm lean. I don't have that much expenses. I can focus on what I enjoy. I can, do sales and set up meetings and track our KPIs, and I don't have to worry about the projects. And I have agreements in place that ensure quality of work. So that's the story pretty much of how I went from lawn care to construction projects. If you guys have any questions, comment them down below. Leave a like and subscribe for more.